Hello.
Hello. Oh, my hair looked better on the other camera. Bollocks. Good morning, good afternoon, Universal Sync fans.
Hello. Look at my hair. It's like stick. Oh, God.
You've got one lump. One lump.
My lovely hairy lumps. Oh, that's not good, is it?
So, you know how when we do this for the kitchen sink, you can see that logo. You see the picture of my kitchen sink.
Yes.
Right. So
That's far too clean and tidy, can I just say?
I put those dishes on there to make it look like it was mid-washing up. No?
I should send you a picture of my kitchen sink. You'd have a heart attack. You'd be like, oh my God.
Well, we often
We look very middle class with your kitchen sink. It's very nice.
When we watch this back with my mother, she'll be clapping you there.
I feel like behind the scenes there'll be an Arger on, there'll be the Archers on and the radio.
Well,
sorry, my hair's looking rank today, guys.
How's that? Oh no, I've got a droopy mic.
Oh,
lovely boy.
Oh. Do what Tandra, because we're on a little bit later in the day.
My microphone's drooping.
Oh, my tea's kicked in. I've got energy. Where did that come from?
Right, okay. Does my sound okay?
Does to me.
Right, okay.
If you're watching, Sync fans, hello Sync fans, bloody hell, raise up early. Give us a shout if it doesn't sound too good, because I've got it on mute at the minute.
There you go. That's amazing. So, right. So, you know, our background of the kitchen sink is my kitchen sink, so that we have copyright of that picture.
Yeah.
Well, I've set my friend.
Who's ripping that off?
I've set my friend a challenge, and she's going to take a picture of his tractor in a field.
Are we going to change the name of our show to Tractor in a Field?
No, but when we do our Archers segment,
when we
do the Archers segment,
you can put up a picture of a tractor.
See, brilliant. When you're in the Southwest, love, it pays to have contacts.
Yeah, because there is no other way you would have been able to get a photo of a tractor, is there, Lucy? Did you hear the way I said your name there? And I went Lucy, because you don't like being called Luce, which I discovered the other night.
I hate being called Luce. Luce by name.
I didn't say it. I was not going to say it. I refuse to be burdened with that. That's not my fault.
A boy called John Phillips said it to me when I was 13 in a playground in Lisvane.
Like he knows Lisvane. Like he knows what that means. Like he's ever kissed a girl.
Acne, braces, and he tried to have a pop at me.
Yeah, Lucy. He wouldn't get on very well in the days of COVID, would he?
No.
He's probably kissed a girl by now, though, because this is what? At least 10 years ago. Since we were 13. Right.
We need to talk about #SaveLiveComedy. Have you put your picture up?
I have. I've put it on Instagram and Twitter.
I didn't do Instagram because I keep forgetting about fucking Instagram. Because I'm not wow.
I like Instagram because it's just pictures and not as many people from the world of comedy follow me on Instagram, so I can get away with just being myself a bit more on there. I don't really do anything on Facebook unless I'm chatting about comedy. I'm surprised anybody follows me anymore on Facebook. I bet they've all bloody muted me by now.
I've got nearly 450 followers. Just saying.
Give it time.
You know how we've noticed on chat rooms when say for example a girl says I didn't have a very nice time on the comedy circuit, and then somebody comes up and goes, well, I went to a comedy gig once and I was fine. Yeah, well done. Or I said that I didn't have a nice experience in the shop because nobody was wearing masks, and some other bint came on and went, well, I went there once, I was fine. Right, yeah, thanks for that. So I posted on the Comedians podcast, post a picture with a hashtag. Here's the link to the letter, this, that, and the other. Some girl came on and went, everybody else is just posting the link.
Oh, jealous. They're all jealous.
I'm like, yeah, I know that, sugar tits, right?
But
maybe
go on Twitter, they're giving a bloody life story on Twitter. Flipping heck.
I know. I thought it was just post a picture with no explanation. You know, that stupid Facebook thing where they go, post a picture with no explanation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you read the very depressing results on the report where it's like 45% venues, comedy venues, think they're going to have to close down within 6 months. 86% of promoters aren't going to put their regular gigs. But I am going to get slayed for this, right? But you know, I like to speak without thinking.
Can I just hashtag, these are all her opinions, not the opinions of the kitchen sink in general. I'm just putting it out there quick, just in case.
45% of respondents have already given serious thought to leaving comedy. Well, chop chop.
If you're a sex pest, sex offender, if you could leave sooner, that'd be great.
Bye.
Bye, dear. If you're a man, if you're a white,
don't let the door slam you on the way out.
If you've been doing the circuit for 20 years, maybe give someone else a chance.
Oh, and then it said, this one I really loved. So, you know, all the people that look down on us for doing online?
Yeah.
It was something like 76% of people have done stuff online.
Get you.
And there was one more. There was and then when I was on the, you know, on the big comedy forum, the one with like 8,000 people.
Oh yeah.
So
the scary one that I didn't want to put anything on with because everyone shouts at each other. So
one person said, "Well, this will be the death of open mics."
No,
and this pro. Well, I don't know if they're pro, but they were. They
don't know open mic. They don't know open mic is.
They said, "Oh well, open mic should stop anyway."
Who said that?
One of the comedians on there.
I'm not surprised, Lucy. I've been hearing similar stories of this for years and years and years. It's most of comedy is not a welcoming place. That's why I've been like, can't wait for live comedy to start for you to see.
So we covered with Barbara Nice. The way in used to be open spots on a pro bill, and the old hands would teach the new ones the way of the world. Brilliant. And that stopped. New versus old, and now the pros want open mic to be finished as well.
Oh. But without open mics, where do the comedians of tomorrow come from? Yeah.
Right. What's Ray saying? Come on, Ray. Crazy idea to look down on. Ray, you're amazing on.
We are privileged that you choose us to be one of those shows that you watch. Thank you very much.
Now, Sarah, there's an attractive man in our backstage area, and I don't know what to do.
Oh. I couldn't possibly comment.
He smiled. He's not going to get me too.
I've known this man for a very long time. He is like Simon Emanuel. He's like a brother. It'd be weird.
Well, pretend he can't hear us. Do you want to give me any dirt on him before he comes in?
Yeah. So. You would never know this, but he is one of the most supportive people you could ever meet on the scene. Yes. I've got a bra on. It's lockdown. Who's wearing a bra these days?
Because we got no bras. Here's some support. Welcome to the sink. Drum roll.
I just walk around cut with my hand.
Right. Let's see if we can get him. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Ooh,
there
we go.
Come on, Lucy. Keep that button down. Keep pressing the button.
Yay! This fancy background.
I look like I've come in through the tap. I'm quite happy about that.
Ig, you win the award for most professional guest that we've had on with being in front of your your thing, your comedy
So
sheet?
this is
I
just my
can't see.
living room. This is just how I live. So
So it's like your lovely partner Michelle. Is she on the sofa and you'll just be up behind the mic going, "So I had my tea
yeah,
tonight."
that's what
And
the
she's like, "I
curtains are. Yeah,
know."
if I peel it back, it's just Michelle watching TV. That's why I have to wear headphones so I can't
Yeah.
hear the television. Probably watching Broadchurch repeats or something because they've run out of content on television.
Yeah, they seem to have. How could that have happened when it's because we're all over here on Twitch desperately trying to create our own original content. They should come here. Everyone should come and watch us. It's so much more fun. It's lovely to see you.
You too. Hello.
How are
Hi,
you?
Lucy. Nice to meet you.
Oh yeah,
Thank you. I
sorry, I
was
meant to
waiting for Sarah
introduce
to
you.
introduce me. I didn't want to be rude.
I tried introducing you both earlier on Facebook. Lucy was far too
Oh, yeah,
busy
we've
living a
messaged. Yeah,
metropolitan
yeah.
lifestyle. Sorry, well,
What medal is around the rabbit's neck?
It's it's a medal I had made for everybody that was in my Air Cadet Squadron 1223.
Oh, okay. I thought the rabbit had entered the Olympics or something. I thought it was the new Pixar movie.
See, I watched this back later with my mum. At this point, my mum's going to go, "It's not a rabbit, it's a hare."
Okay. I would
But I
like to
call it
say
a
I know the
rabbit.
difference, but I don't. Is it hares are just bigger? Are they?
You've got longer
Rabbits
legs,
live
haven't they?
underground. Rabbits live underground and hares live overground. And because
Okay.
rabbits are domesticated and hares aren't, they're not friends.
Oh, so hares are like the wild bad boys of fields.
Yeah, around the back of
Oh.
bus stations with a fag on. Well,
Yeah.
there's like the rabbits are underneath knitting and making little outfits.
Oh,
Is that why the rabbit and the hare in Alice in Wonderland don't really interact much?
Exactly.
Why
That's
is
no
the
idea.
hare underground? The Wonderland's
again.
underground. I'm gonna have to have words with Lewis Carroll. I think he's messed up somewhere there. We're gonna have to discuss it.
Gotta
Yeah.
be honest, you're a bit old for Lewis Carroll. He probably wouldn't have anything to say to you.
But also, he's a bit dead. I don't know if I'm gonna have to get a seance on board, get that working.
I'd like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. I have honestly heard really lovely things about you, and
Thank
I've
you.
been able to look up some of your comedy, and your comedy is really, really great. And I absolutely adore the fact that you embrace online and that you're not all about it.
Well, it's not just comedy. I think it's with anything else. I mean, you've just got to give everything an opportunity and just, I mean, whatever gets you through the fucking day, you know,
Yeah.
make it work somehow.
Yeah, because how have you been finding the lockdown? I mean, you've been really prolific. You've just taken the bull by the horns. You were like one of the first people to do the quiz, the Saturday night quiz, and that kind of just
Yeah,
went stratospheric.
So this Saturday coming is the 17th week I've
Oh
been
my
doing the
God.
quiz. I started the quiz a week before the UK officially went into lockdown, and I only did it just to distract people and just to give them something to do. And yeah, it's turned into now
Giving
I feel
you
like I'm
something
going
to
to
do
work every
now.
Saturday. Yeah, exactly. So it keeps me occupied. But no, it's been really fun. And again, it's just trying something new. And we didn't know if it was going to work, Michelle and I, and it just kind of blew up a bit. And now it's people's regular weekly thing that they like to do, and people are begging us not to stop after
Oh.
lockdown lifts, which is, I mean, I'm delighted. I'm happy that they're enjoying it so much. But when I go back to gigging live, doing what I love, am I going to want to be a quizmaster? I mean, who knows? We're gonna have to figure that out.
We'll have to get onto some TV production companies and get you on TV because you're just brilliant. You're a really good quizmaster.
Thank you very much.
And
I've
I should
annoyed
know.
some people.
Do you?
But I
Why?
think the thing is about pub quizzes, there's always somebody, somebody's always got a complaint. Like we've only been to a handful, Michelle and I, but there's always, you get two types of people: the people who don't take it seriously enough, and then the people who take it way too seriously. There's never any middle ground because they're just people thinking in the middle, you know. So it's either
Yeah.
people who just ruin it for everyone else, and then likewise, they just argue and stuff. So that's the beauty of doing it online, is I can just mute people, so I don't have to deal with the questions and stuff from the crowd.
Yeah, I tried that with my family because we do the family quiz, and we first
What,
of all we
muting them?
start. Say again.
What, muting them?
Mute. Yeah, you're wrong, Dad. Mute. Get out. And the first sort of few weeks, I was like, I'll be quizmaster. I can put the questions together. Oh my God. So it's me on my own, my sister and her husband, my niece and her husband, because although it's the word niece, she is an adult, and my mum and dad. And I thought, oh, it's just a bit of fun. Come on, guys, just a bit of fun. Oh, they're so competitive. So competitive. I just got to the point where I'm like, tell you what, we'll all do a round each. So we've done it for 2 weeks now, we'll all do a round each. And my dad goes, I've got really easy questions this week. Don't you worry, they're going to be so easy. Oh my God. They were easy if you knew the full life of Winston Churchill and you knew all about the Second World War. Other than that, absolutely not easy at all. So yeah, we've
I've realized through doing the quiz, it's like what's easy to some people is completely difficult to others, and then vice versa. So I try to do a mix of all kinds of questions, and every week people complain like, "Oh, we need easier questions. We need easier questions." I'm like, as it happens, I got these questions in a quiz book for children. All right, if you're not getting this, then I can't do anything more. Like I've gone as far as I can go without asking you specific questions about you and your life. I can't make it.
What did you have for dinner?
What is your name? I know this one. What I love about Ig's quiz as well is I love Nana. I love Nana. So Ig, Lucy, if you haven't seen it, Ig will record messages from his family. I've only seen Nana and some other. Do you have any other family members? Or is it just Nana?
Nana's the only family member. I have had a friend called Lee Delamere. He occasionally phones in and he has some sports questions for me, but he hasn't called in for a while. I think he's in trouble with the police.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that people aren't that keen on Lee. Lee Delamere.
No, he's a bit rough around the edges, Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it was another way just to incorporate stuff I've been doing online comedy wise. So I started as soon as lockdown hit, I was like, right, I'm going to put out a video a day. And I managed to keep that up for, I think, maybe 12, 13 days. And then
That's
I practically was dying. Yeah, I was making a new sketch every day with these new characters. And then when I wasn't making the sketches anymore, I was still putting out stand-up clips and doing the quiz. And I wanted to incorporate some of these, like people just seem to really love Nana, my depiction of an old, an elderly lady. So I kept her in the quiz. I tried Lee out, but Lee's just too much hard work. He's too difficult to work with.
What? No, I thought Nana was just a member of the family. Don't tell me. I love it.
Michelle's sister told her son because he was kind of like, who's that? Is that Ignacio? And she was like, no, that's Nana. And he was like, she looks exactly like Ignacio. And she managed to maintain the laugh for a good few weeks until she cracked under the pressure and she had to come clean. She was like, no, look, he's Ignacio. I'm sorry.
That's so sweet. Like, because Nana is literally just a headscarf, isn't it? Just like and the character.
Michelle's dressing gown. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And it's so true because Nana's always like, she's always going shopping. Like earlier on in the pandemic, she's like, she's going shopping. She gets too close to people. And I'm like, that's everyone's Nana. That's my mum all over. Because like beginning of the pandemic, I'm like, Mum, you're going to stay home. And she's like, all right. And then a week later, she's like, well, we went to Wilko's. I'm like, no, you meant to stay home. Why am I doing your weekly shopping? For you to go to bloody Wilko's and lick everything. I'm sure she's not licking stuff. You know what I mean? So, sorry, Lucy, as it, whenever I have someone on that I know really well, poor Lucy doesn't get a word in edgeways. Bless you. So one thing I was going to ask, well, so I'm still not letting her have a word edgeways because it's like I've known Ig now. It's got to be 11 years. Both kind of started together. Ig is far more successful than I am, but he's worked his arse off. You've always been really prolific, though. You've always had so many jokes. You've always done loads of stuff, and you help other people out with their writing as well. You've helped me with my writing in the past as well.
I don't want a reputation as somebody who helps other people because then I'm going to get asked for more help from other people. So can we just pretend I'm an asshole just for the purpose of this interview? Thank
you. An asshole, Ig. Why do you help me so much? He does charge, though, guys. If we've got money, give him a shout. 200 quid for every 5 minutes.
No,
But
I
yeah, where
think
does that come from, Ig?
what how
All
much I
your
work, or
ideas and being so prolific.
I'm not sure. I've been creative since I was a kid. I didn't used to take anything seriously when I was a kid. Like the only thing I used to enjoy doing in school was, art class or um, drama or any of the fun, creative kind of things. I enjoyed English, but the creative writing aspect of it, I didn't enjoy, you know, analyzing poetry or things like that unless I could write my own poetry. It was always, I just really loved creativity and making my own stuff. Anything, little plasticine models at home. My grandmother's house used to just be covered with these little plasticine characters. I was always too lazy to animate them, so I just make hundreds of characters and they were just littered around my grandmother's house. And I just carried on doing that into my adult life and not taking anything seriously. So, yeah.
Oh, oh, that's really nice. And yeah, have you what do you think of, like, at the moment we've got this hashtag, the live comedy, keep live comedy alive
Change live
hashtag.
comedy.
That's the one.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
someone knows
so
it.
so I started stand up 10 years ago, and I've treated it like a job from the start. I pretty much quit my job, I think 3 weeks after my first gig. I mean, I have had other jobs since because, believe it or not, you don't get on live with the Apollo in your third week of doing stand up comedy. I did not
What?
realize. Yeah, I
This
know.
is gold.
That was a
Go
shock.
again.
So I did, I started 10 years ago, and even then, comedy hasn't been seen as an art form by the powers that be and that grant funding and stuff through Welsh government, UK government. It's not seen as, it's kind of like the bastard cousin of cabaret. And it's surprising because you go up to, the first time I went up to Edinburgh Fringe Festival, I didn't realize it was an arts festival. I just thought it was a comedy festival because there's so much comedy. So I went up there and people are, I mean, Phil Cooper, I don't know if you've had him on the show, you chatted to him recently, but me and Phil Cooper we got flyed for a show, and we thought it was going to be a comedy show because we didn't realize it was a festival for all arts, and it was a Chekhov play. And me
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Phil Cooper are sat in the audience of this Chekhov play, and about half an hour into this dead silence, depressing Russian play, I turned to Phil and I was like, "They're dying!" All right, and we're trying to laugh to kind of help them out a bit. And you can see the actors on stage, these student actors getting really pissed off. And the few people in the crowd are turning around looking at us like, what the hell is these guys' problems? I'm like, what's your problem? Laugh, help them out. All right. It's not easy up there. And it just shows like how, because you go to Edinburgh Fringe Festival and comedy is the biggest part of it. It's a huge percentage of what happens up there. And yet it's still seen as a fringe art. It's one of the most popular art forms in the country, in the world.
Yeah, and especially like I think somebody was saying, I can't remember who, sorry, not crediting that person with this thought, but I thought it too. It's one of the very few art forms that you can think of something in the afternoon and get up and say it, and it doesn't matter where you're from. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have, you don't have to have inherited a mansion. You don't have to be upper class. You don't have to be a white man, although it helps. You know, you can be literally anyone and get on an open mic and express yourself and have a laugh, which, let's face it, the world's gone to shit. We all need a laugh right now. They've never ever they've never said that comedy is an art form. It's agreed when it comes to funding, because, like, for things like the Machynlleth Festival, when they were looking at funding, originally they had to say that it was a Welsh language festival and they had to have Welsh language in it, and they fudged the rules until it became, I don't know what it is now, sorry if Henry's watching, but that's how they so many people kind of have to get around it and make it comedy, but have to say, oh yes, it's a play, or it's some other art form. And it's just, I don't get it. I just think it's so wrong. When you look at it, it isn't easy. Comedy's hard work.
I know.
Isn't it?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, because it's such an immediate art form that you can come up with an idea and go up and do it. And because of that, people think it's easy. People
Mm.
think that anyone can just stand up on a stage. They don't realize the work that goes into something. So I did joke around saying I don't take things seriously, but I work incredibly hard at stand up. I wake up in the morning, I write. I don't stop doing anything comedy related till I go to bed, and then I wake up at 2 a.m. sometimes, like, oh, I've got an idea, and piss my girlfriend Michelle off by getting up to jot down this idea. You work on that in front of a stage, you die on stage. You sometimes you get laughs, sometimes you don't. You're running a business. You're a self-employed person. You're running a business. You're booking all of your own gigs until maybe you're lucky enough to get an agent. You're booking all your own travel around the country. It's all of these expenses going into it as well. And people don't understand like how difficult that is as a, that's why a lot of, I'm going to say, but like rich kids, or people with parents who can afford to splash out, then yeah, you go be a comedian for a few years and see if it works out. Whereas the rest of us, like, I think the only reason I've made it so far is because, I've really gone into comedy not caring what happened to myself. Like, I've put myself in some really shitty situations where I've had no money. I've been, sleeping on park benches because I can't afford to stay somewhere. I've had to walk, miles and miles to get to gigs sometimes because I can't afford public transport to get there. Whatever. It's a really stressful situation I put myself in, whereas a lot of people have it a lot easier. And people take that for granted sometimes, how much people care about comedy and they want to make it work. And they think, I don't know, people think it's easy. You always get these guys down the pub who are like, oh, I could do that. Yeah, it's just standing up on stage and talking, isn't it? I do like to watch them try and fail. That's my favorite thing.
Yes, because it does happen. You'll do a gig and there'll be some guy in the audience. And this has happened, I think, more at pro nights than like open mic nights. There's been a few of the pro nights. There was one at Cafe Play down in Mumbles. And this guy came up to me. I was hosting, and this bloke came up to me in the second break, which means that it was literally just me going on after the break, going, "So guys, I've had a lovely time. Great. Who's your headliner?" And the headliner is generally the most experienced actor on the bill. They're the one that people have paid the money to come and see, and everyone else is kind of a bonus. If you're not, if you don't know the comedy world, you kind of always expect the last one to be the funniest one. So this guy from the audience just comes up to me and goes, "Oh, love, I know it's a really good Woody Allen joke. Can I get up and say it?" I'm like, "No, you flipping can't, you moron." I was kinder to him than that, but it was like, "Oh, sorry, we've run out of time." The fact that he's not even going to say his own joke is like a Woody Allen joke at that, where it's a bit conscientious. That's not a word, is it? Contentious, a bit of a contentious thing with the old Woody Allen. So yeah, it does happen, doesn't it? It's hilarious. That's why, like, Lucy has only done only how many is it real life gigs have you done, Lucy? Is it 11? I love that we say in real life. Like, we're not in real life right now, guys. This is all fake.
This is kind of like the Matrix.
Generated. Yeah. Oh, talk about the Matrix. I'll come back to you, Lucy. We're doing like family exercise, and I'm like, oh, we're all living in George Orwell's world now, aren't we? Because like my sister and her husband will be doing family exercise, or we do Zoom sessions. And the other day we shared a YouTube video of people exercising. We were exercising along with it, and we're all just watching the TV and exercise. And I'm like, oh, this is 1984 all over, isn't it? But yeah, okay, Lucy, I'm coming to you now. So Lucy's done 13, lucky for them, gigs in real life. I cannot wait for it. It will come back. I think it'll come back. I think the scene will look very different, but I think it will come back. I can't wait for Lucy to come back.
where was your first gig, Lucy?
My very first gig was in a pub in Crediton, which is just because I'm in the southwest. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and the day after my graduation show, I started a Facebook page and put a few pictures of my graduation show on there, and I just sent it to all my friends, and they was kind enough to add the page. And I put a big shout out and I said, if you have seen a comedy gig in a pub or a function room or a bar near where you live, take a picture, post it on here, and I'm going to try and get on it. And loads of people, because the thing is, in the southwest, there isn't an online gig collection. No one, because if you put a gig on in your pub, it's for your locals. You're not expecting people to travel from Bristol to see it or anything like that. So it's just a local gig for local people in a local pub. And I managed to get people to send me their little local snapshots and I got onto the gigs. I got into about 6 of them that way by having spies on the ground.
So what, they would just send you a picture of the gig poster, is it?
Yeah, they'd walk along, they'd see the pub, they'd take a picture, they'd post it on my Facebook page, and then I'd be lucky enough to ring them up, and it was Daniel Fitzhenry, Fitz, who was doing the first one, and they were very excited to have a female comedian. So outside of Rough House, I've only done 3, and then of course we got the amazing Vix, who celebrated her 100th gig week before lockdown.
Congrats. Well done, Vix.
Yeah.
Have you done any online gigs, Vix?
Vix has got her own show, Comedy Roulette.
Oh, fantastic.
On
Really?
YouTube.
Make a note.
Yeah.
Is it like chat roulette?
So I'm not. I can imagine her screaming at the screen right now. But it's a case of she's got a bingo machine and she's got all the topics typed down. And she's had huge guests. She's had Katie Brand, Mark Olver. She's got put them in the chat, Vix, who you got coming up. And I think it was Mark Olver who was just like, shouldn't this be comedy bingo? And she's like, oh, you start. My dad said this. Bloody men. But and then they sort of, it's an anecdotal kind of game, but I really enjoyed watching it. And she's got some really big, she's got Jen Bristow, I think, as well, she had on there as well, and Jen Smith. So she's got quite big names on there, and many more coming up. So she does promote them on the internet. But it's a case of, and I don't know whether you find this, but it's difficult. One thing, creating great content. I think this kitchen sink is brilliant. I really enjoy doing my Lucy show. But how do you get people to know about it? I mean, it's all very well telling your fans on your fan page, but how can you get? I mean, we've got Lockdown Comedy Guide, we've got Joke Pit that will sort of retweet, but it's getting other people to know about it.
Well, that's funny because that's one of the things that I would get from live shows is, I'm touring all over the country and playing different comedy clubs and one-off shows and maybe private functions. And after every show, I'd plug my social media, and then I'd get a few maybe Instagram followers, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. And then those are the people then who would see something and share sketches I post and stuff like that. But it's difficult trying to encourage people to share them and to get other people. And what I found is the stuff I put the most care and attention into, whatever I put the most effort into, comedy-wise, content-wise, is the stuff that gets seen by the least people. Like, I don't know why. I could make a graph of the stuff I put the most effort into compared to how many people watch it. And it's just a correlation of just, if I don't put any effort into something, it's going to be a massive viral hit. I know that's going to happen, like, for sure.
Yeah, just knock this one out of the park.
Trying so hard.
just chuck one out this morning. 3 million views. Because you've had a couple of viral hits, haven't you? You are the king of Twitter. And I made the massive mistake. I love going on other people's stuff on Twitter and doing my funny little quips on the back of their thing. And I did it once on one of your things. I'm flipping out, right? For like 2 weeks afterwards. My phone was going,
still
ping,
getting notifications.
Ping, ping. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, it could be unpopular. Oh no, same thing again.
Well, maybe after this, after the stream is finished, Ig can retweet the stream for his fans to watch this interview after we finish having it.
I posted it on Facebook and stuff. I'll share it on Twitter and things later.
Thank you, Ig. Can I just say, Ig is the only guest that I haven't had to go, would you mind? He just did it, which is brilliant. Thank you. You're so good. You're such a good.
I don't know. It's weird. Like, I think people are overly protective sometimes of their Facebook pages or social media. I don't know what they think is going to happen. Like, they're scared to be associated with, or what if something isn't a massive smashing success? Then I don't want to be. And it's like, well, you're not going to find out unless you take risks and you do stuff. That's why I think people are scared to do stuff online. It's not the most comfortable thing to do a gig on, to your camera in your living room. When lockdown started, I was like, I'm not doing a gig to people like in that way. It's not going to happen. And after a couple of weeks, I had all of this new material I wanted to try out. And I was like, there's only one way I can try it out. And that's to people online. And I gave it a shot and it was fun. And then I shot a special in my flat put that out for a weekend. Had, I wasn't expecting anything, and I got 5,000 views on Facebook.
Wow.
A few hundred views on YouTube, because I don't post as much stuff on YouTube, so I was very happy with that as well. But you're not going to know unless you try stuff out. That's what comedy is all about.
Yeah. And that's the thing with yourself. You've just spent a lot of time just great. It's the heart. People see the success, like they'll see the Richard Herons and the Stuart Goldsmiths and all the success, and it seems like, oh yeah, you just put something out, and if you're lucky, you get exalted, you get the all the prize and stuff. But it's not. It's years of chipping away. Like you say, it's years of every time you do a gig saying, oh, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, which is the bit that people hate doing. Like I hate the marketing. I hate it. It was only last year, like just before lockdown, that I was like, right, come on now, Bridge, you've got to get out. Anita, that we both know on Dolly Chicken Comedy, she's like, Sarah, you've got to do your Facebook, you've got to do your marketing, get yourself a website. I'm like, oh, all right, okay, because this just, I just hate it. If I could do comedy in a bubble, that would be amazing. But you've just got to do it.
Manage to disassociate yourself from what you're putting out. It's scary because you might put something out, and if people criticize it, you can take it incredibly personally. But something, you're not going to know if it's going to work or not unless you put it out there. You've got to shut yourself off from your comedy content and yourself and maybe your persona on stage. Otherwise, it's terrifying. Otherwise, people are gonna, you're bearing your soul in a way. That's what comedy is, and you just need to be unafraid. You need to be fearless about it, and that's, I think, the people that really crack it and make it and go far are the people who, they're not afraid to take risks, or they're not afraid to put themselves out there. I'm not his biggest fan of his stand-up, but Michael McIntyre doesn't give a shit what
No.
Billy Open Mike thinks.
Yeah.
In South Wales, like, no, he's not. He doesn't care. So if people, want to criticize, that's entirely up to them. There's plenty of other comics willing to take their place and give it a shot.
Yeah.
When we first started lockdown, I thought, what the fuck? I just started doing this. What have you done? Why stop? What?
Where's the world gone? Yeah.
What do you think you're doing? And all of a sudden, I saw a virtual online open mic, new act, new material. Put myself forward for it, and a friend of mine was exactly same amount of time in comedy as myself, and they were just like, no, I don't want to do anything online because, it means that, you lose the protection of your craft and all this stuff. And I can see where she was coming from, because when I was doing my live gigs, when they were around, people that were not able to come and see me in the Southwest, I've got friends from all around the UK, and they were like, oh, you've got to put a video up. You've got to put your stuff up. And I'm like, if I put my stuff up, there's no reason for you to come and see me. So I could understand that. But then I was like, now I've got to put something up, because if I'm not putting anything up, I'm just going to fall out of existence. I'm not going to have any reason to get up and write or want to perform. How can you sit this out if you don't know how long we're going to be sitting out for? And I'm really pleased that I made the decision of, I will have morals when I can afford them. So, welcome to the Lucy Show. How can you?
I think what the mistake a lot of people make is, there's a lot of people out there who are just straightforward, just stand-up comedians, just live. That's what they do, is just stand-up comedy. And I'm a purist with stand-up comedy. I really like that format, but I also like dipping my hand into sketches, or Twitter is its own, for me, it's its own art form. Like, I'll write a Twitter thread, maybe a short detective story set on a train, and I'll pass it off as reality.
Yeah.
And I'll, that'll get, a lot of attention and traction. That's not stand-up comedy. I couldn't do that on stage. I couldn't go up and tell that story on stage in the same way. I can use GIFs and stuff like this. All of this is a different art form once again. Or, we're on Twitch, we're chatting live. This isn't like a typical chat show on television. This isn't like a live show. It's a different art form. So people need to treat them all completely differently, but not be afraid to push other stuff. So they've seen my sketches on Facebook or Twitter, or they've seen my threads, or they've seen a video on YouTube of me not doing stand-up, and then they've come to watch me doing stand-up live. I've made fun of being like, oh, let's go see what the live experience is like. And for me, nothing beats the live experience. Like live stand-up comedy, that's it for me. It's the best way. It's the most engaging. Laughter is the most infectious when people are you're surrounded by other people laughing. Stuff might happen and spark off and happen in the moment, and that's the most fun. But you still can't be afraid to put other stuff out there. It hasn't got to be stand-up, because I'd never just film myself doing like my closing Club 20, which is, I consider, like bulletproof gold.
Yeah,
Like, when the
worked
people are
on for
paying me to
years.
go headline a club, yeah, this is 10 years worth of material boiled down to the funniest 20 minutes. Like, that's for the clubs when they're paying me good money. I wouldn't put that out online, because like you said, Lucy, like people will be like, oh, well, I've seen that now. Or if they've seen that online and then they come see you doing exactly the same material, they'll be like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. So that's why being prolific helps. Like, write, keep writing, keep churning stuff out, keep trying stuff out, because until you're at the position where you need to release a new hour on Netflix every year, then who gives a shit? Right? Just try it and
Yeah.
throw it out there and see what works.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. Very wise words. Thank you, Ig. I can't believe you're 15 years younger than me.
I wouldn't have said that, Sarah. You're what you? I would have said 38.
25.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
thanks,
I got
Ig.
overshot there.
I got into this as you might know, Ig, you've got to join all the forums to be able to promote your shows. I was on either East Midlands or Birmingham forum this morning, and they were saying, what are we going to do? Because the LCA report about the amount of comedy clubs that are closing down, well, it made nobody smile that much over their breakfast. And they were saying, no, the LCA is doing everything else. And I came up with an idea that if the media, if newspapers started including online comedy in their what's on, especially the clubs that have gone online. So like the Stand does a Saturday show every week, and it's up there against the COVID Arms. I think it's Saturday they do it, and I think COVID's Friday, Stand is Saturday. And they're like Carl is doing Beefies. He's taken Beefies online. Rough As has gone online. So for the actual clubs that have gone online, if the press got behind them and told people about it, it would be their way of saying the building is shut, but the comedian's your MC and the whole night is still going. We just need to work out how to get the press to listen to that. Because can you imagine if online comedy was included in the what's on listings? That would be amazing.
It would. I think it would make a difference. I think there's occasionally they'll get some press or something. I think Scott Bennett, at the start of lockdown, he decided to do stand-up from his shed, and that got a lot of media attention. So he was on BBC, Sky News, etc. A couple of newspapers did some stuff. So I think that drew a bit of attraction. But
they're one-off articles. They're not listings.
Yeah.
Like the Hen House that Sarah and I did the other day. First week they did the Hen House, their local paper ran a whole spread on the Hen House, but it was a one-off piece. It wasn't Emmerdale, EastEnders, 9 o'clock news, comedy at the Hen House. It's not in the listings. How do we do it?
I think with online, I think there's no excuse for newspapers not to have online listings for that sort of stuff. Sadly, the only publication that was regularly publicizing live comedy gigs back before lockdown was Time Out magazine, and they stopped covering comedy altogether. I think a year ago. So it feels like sometimes we're fighting it's an uphill struggle. We're fighting a losing battle. But again, old media like newspapers and television, I think they're a bit terrified of what's happening online. So one thing that's quite interesting I've noticed. My friend Leroy and I, we did a radio sitcom recently, a pilot, which we pitched it before lockdown, and then when lockdown happened, we reformatted the story so it took place during lockdown, and it was really fun, good experience working with Leroy. We write a lot together and stuff anyway. But what I found really interesting was the BBC was saying it was going out on BBC Radio Wales 6:30 on the Monday. And they were saying, yes, but we're really pushing for people to listen to it on BBC Sounds. And this is strange for me because I'm so used to pushing something at a specific time, whether it's a live show or an online event, because it gains more traction if you've got something to target people towards, like if it's happening at once and everyone's doing it at the same time, that's you get things trending, Twitter or hashtags kind of working and stuff. But if you spread it out going, oh yeah, you can listen to this on BBC Sounds at any time over the next 6 months, and it's like, well, you're not targeting people are like, I can listen to it later. It doesn't matter. So you really want to. That immediacy is one thing I think people are losing online with stand-up comedy. So yeah, I think if people started listing live events as and when they were happening, I know that this is listed on a lockdown comedy group. I saw it a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
They've got an online listing of all of the gigs. So
Phil's
I mean, I
amazing.
don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, a heavy amount of admin he's put on board for himself, but yeah, he's doing a good job.
Yeah,
I
like
find it strange, sorry, just that the Radio Wales wanted you to be on at 6:30. I find it very strange that they would put their comedy on against the Radio 4 comedy slot.
Don't think, I don't know how, I mean, it was a pilot as well. So it was just a one-off, but that seems to be, they've got a 6:30 slot that I think they seem to put sitcom in Wales anyway. It seems on BBC Radio Wales. That tends to be Monday at 6:30 tends to be the
Wow.
sitcom spot, because I think the week before us was the Tourist Trap radio special,
Oh,
and some
sorry,
other
I do
stuff
love
was aired in the same time slot. So
So Leroy's winning either way.
and he's on both. Yeah, he's their go-to guy for 6:30 on BBC Radio Wales. It's Leroy
It's the
Brito
Leroy
this week with
special.
Ignacio.
And it's Twinned Town is the name of the sitcom, isn't it, on BBC Sounds?
Not the film set in Swansea with Reese fans. No, it's Twinned, TWINNED Town.
I'll get
Town.
over
So,
my
yeah.
jealousy and actually listen to it then. I'm going to listen to it later.
Give it a listen. Yeah, we've had. We're just waiting on feedback now to see if it worked out, and if we had enough listeners, and hopefully they pick it up so we can tell the rest of the story, because we left it on a cliffhanger, etc. So yeah, we'll see.
Another cliffhanger. And if they don't pick up, which I really hope they do, because they should, because you're awesome, then you'll have to tell me what the story was going to be. Give it a year. I can't
Yeah,
stand.
The BBC,
Yeah.
I think, own the rights for a few years, so I don't know if I can lift the lid on what happens if they don't pick it up. We'll see. I'm optimistic something will happen anyway.
I really hope so. And yeah, you and Leroy, it's so funny. So they should pick it up, really. But maybe we should start writing, Lucy. We should have a letter campaign to get our mates on the radio. That'd be awesome.
And whilst you're there,
yeah,
be on a fucking show.
yeah. We better start writing then. We'll have to take Ig's advice up and be writing away. Wait, I won't go on about it, but I've got so much. Do my TEFL, like teaching English as a foreign language.
Oh,
But
yeah?
you've got.
Do you have to, when
keep
you do
tagging
TEFL, do
me.
you have to do it with a specific language, or is it like, as in, no, just English
Well,
to anyone?
English.
Yeah,
Because you teach in English.
It doesn't matter what country that's in. Then you could
No.
go to another country and teach. Oh, wow.
It's useful to know their culture, but you can learn that. You can figure that out. And the reason why I've got into it is in my day job, I go out to places of business and teach their staff maths, English, or IT, and it's usually factories and things. And it's part of a funding, because people wouldn't, if you work in a factory, you're working your ass off. The last thing you're going to do is go to FE college and teach yourself IT. So I go into their place of work while they're at work and stuff. And I've forgotten where I've gone off on a tangent now, because I've been working all day. Oh yeah,
asking you about why.
Yes. So one of my places, they had a lot of people that had come in from all over Europe, and they were like, we want English conversation. And I was like, I'm not qualified, but they went, we don't care. So I did it anyway, and I've loved it. I've really enjoyed. I've worked with these people for about a year, and it's just been the best fun. So I thought, right, I'll get myself qualified. So that's what I've been doing during lockdown. I've got 2 more assignments to do. I'm just waiting for one assignment to be marked, because weirdly, you have to, for this one that I'm on, which is accredited through a college, it's level 5, which is quite high, because they only go up to level 8. And 8 is like a master's degree, 7's like a degree. So it's quite a high level qualification. So
When
yeah,
you
you've
get
got
to 8, you have to fight the final boss.
Yes, got to fight the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've got to wait to hear whether I've passed this assignment before I can do the next one. So sorry for that bit of TEFL talk. If anyone's interested in And it's so annoying because I was like, yeah, I could travel the world with my TEFL qualification. Yeah, if you can get outside of
Lockdown.
Britain, she's like, boom, forget that, Bridgman, Brexit, boom, and then it'll be all right. No, pandemic,
Well,
boom.
today I should be on a cruise ship, performing on a cruise ship. So it's quite frustrating.
I'm so oh God. And you've been on cruise ships before, haven't you? And you've done quite well.
Yeah, so I did 2 tryouts for the company, went on 2 ships, and they must have gone well because they booked me for a bunch this year, and then we've gone into lockdown. And they've shifted they were like, oh, we're canceling this many cruises, but don't worry, we're going to start up again in August. And I was like, okay, now we're canceling those as well. We're going to start back up again in this month. So it just keeps getting pushed back and back. But it's understandable. I wouldn't want to be,
Yeah.
risk being stuck on a ship either. You're only supposed to be on
Yeah.
there for a week as a comedian, and I know people who they were on the ship when lockdown landed and they weren't allowed to dock anywhere, so they had to stay on the ship for an entire month
Oh
until
my
they were allowed
God.
back in the UK. Yeah, performing the same material every night for a month to the same audience.
So I'd be
Wow.
like, that's fine. Just sail to the middle of the Caribbean. I'll just chill out here. But no, I feel like as long as you're getting paid, though, I guess. But that can't.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
and
true.
can you imagine all that? That must be quite scary because it was quite scary at the beginning of the lockdown. And on one hand, for about a week, it's like terrifying. You're like, what's happening? What's going on? And then you could hear the birds singing. There was no traffic on the road. That was quite nice. But being stuck in the middle of the ocean, you must be like, how are we going to get food? That's my first go-to. How am I going to eat? That would be the thing that would scare me the most.
I mean, they do feed you on the ship. You don't have to fish or anything. You don't give you like fishing rods. They give you food on the ship.
Yeah, catch your own bloody dinner.
Yeah. Oh, dolphin for tea again. Come on.
Yeah. I've had
There
enough
was
of
one
tuna.
cruise ship. One cruise ship tried to dock, and the locals threw rocks at it.
Where was it docking?
Newport.
Southampton.
It was America. It was one of the cruise ships that had COVID on it.
Ah.
So they thought we'll just throw rock. Have you seen a cruise ship? The
I
size
mean,
of the
that sounds,
thing.
maybe they
Fine.
thought that the rock was a vaccine. I mean, that's going to line up with most of Trump's thoughts about what's going to cure that stuff anyway, isn't it? It's like,
I know
let's
it.
try rocks.
I know it's not funny, but one of the sort of American sort of medical, they took over a whole warship, disinfected the whole thing, painted the big red cross on the side of it, and it was meant to be completely COVID free. It was going to be their sort of sanctity sort of space where they'd be able to get supplies, do research. First day, they got the delivery mixed up, and they put 3 people with COVID on it.
Oh. Oh, God.
You try not to laugh at bad things like that, but you're like,
That would be like me. That'd be like,
notepad.
I'm
As a
missing
comedian, you're like,
something.
can I joke about this?
That is something like, I'd be like, I'm sure I'm missing something. What is it? Oh yeah, don't kill everyone with some COVID-y passengers. Oh my God. That's crazy.
Right, well, I jump in while Sarah takes a breath.
I'm breathing in.
I'm quite fascinated with people's writing process when they're in lockdown. Is it a case of because you've got free time, you've become more creative, or because you're down about being locked in, there's no ink in your pen? I know you've created a lot of content, but I mean that might be how much you normally create. But do you find that you've enjoyed, I mean, you can't really say anything about this pandemic is enjoyable, but for people like us that are writers, we have had more time. We're not up and down the bloody M5 or the M1 looking at gigs. You've had more time to sit at home and think. So have you been more creative, or have you really had to push yourself to create?
I find this even before lockdown. I find that I'll each day I'll try and do both. I'll try and just write stuff when the idea sparks in my head, and I'll also try and designate time where I sit down like, right, I have to knock out 10 one-liners. I might never use them, but it's just to keep the brain flowing, to keep it. I think
Yeah.
with lockdown it's been very similar, but it's difficult to get the spark sometimes for new ideas, because I mean we're living the same life every day. It's the most we're seeing is I'm going to the shop or the supermarket, and
Yeah.
this is why material becomes hack, because when something is a common experience and comedians talk about it, soon every comic's doing the same material. That's why the whole American airline food, cliche about stand-up comedians going, what's the deal with airline food? This whole idea is because that's how it was the cheapest way to travel around the country for Americans. So all comedians were spending time on planes all of the time. So that's all they had to talk about. And I think that's what's happened in lockdown is a lot of people are writing about the same thing. So it's difficult and I don't enjoy doing it this way, but I'll sit down and be like, right, let's try and write about history or films or something different. Take me out of this situation. So I need to escape a little bit in my head before I can start writing stuff down. I don't think I've written less or more. It's kind of I've written the same, but the difficult part is I haven't got to try out the material. So usually I'd be trying stuff out every gig. I'd be trying something new out. Whereas now I'm like, I've got stacks of stuff. Don't know if it works. The longer you do comedy, the more you kind of like, you've got an idea. That's going to be funny. That's not going to be funny. I can make that work. But it's getting to the point now. It's just building up all of this stuff, and you lose interest in it after a while as well. So you just got to keep plugging it, and that's where the online stuff comes in. And that's why I'm doing a gig on July 29th to try out a bunch of material. I don't know if it's funny or not. We're going to find out to a bunch of faces on Zoom. That's how we're going to know.
You've done that a couple of times now, haven't you? You've done a couple of Zoom gigs. So I was on the first one.
Yeah, that's right. And like that was in the audience, in the crowd. And it was, it was just me trying out stuff for that special I said I recorded. So I'd written a bunch of material about lockdown. And I think it was about a month into lockdown. I was like, right, let me get this out there before all of this material becomes, like I said, hack, just a cliche. And yeah, it was actually really super useful. Like I had to, it's weird, like learning all of these technical things then that you didn't have to worry about when you go up on stage. So stuff like there's maybe a delay in the laughter, or the audience laughing is cutting through your audio and that's affected it for other people. So I just had everyone on mute and I was just looking at their faces so I could see if they were smiling and laughing. I'm like keeping a note in my head. I'm like, okay, this works. So I should probably learn sign language and have people signing things like this is funny or whatever on screen. That would make my life a lot easier. Drop
All
this
joking
joke,
aside, there are signing services that will do that.
Are there?
Yeah. In fact, there was a fundraiser for people to do signing for comedy. I'll send you the details. I think it was Phil that promoted it. Phil from Lockdown again.
Oh, cool.
But if you do something through StreamYard, when you put it back, it will have computer generated closed caption subtitles. But obviously I'm like Rich Newham when they did that interview about his sitcom Flatmates. One of the windows on the Zoom was a sign language interpreter. And there are a couple of people that are doing online comedy signing, but they need donations to that charity for them because, it's all not free content. Well, it is free content. It's not free for us to create because we've got to use our own technology and everything else like that. But for the signers to volunteer, they are hoping for more donations. But I genuinely think signing, considering it only has to be, if we had a signing person in this interview, your screen would just be over there and there'd be a fourth window with somebody doing the signing. And I do think there's very little reason why we can't do it. But with the StreamYard, I do like the fact that it does do a good job, just not a brilliant job.
Yeah. And I meant the audience are going to need to learn sign language so they can tell me if something's funny or to cut something out when I'm just looking, if I've got them on mute. But fingers crossed, I think with headphones and figuring stuff out is, we're all learning these new technologies. And
very good for the deaf wave.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
This is laughter, isn't it? And sign.
Is that laughter? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You get quite used to it because I've done probably over 40 Zoom gigs now, and the host will spotlight your video so that people can see you on big screen. But as soon as I'm on spotlight, I will put myself on gallery view so I can see the reactions and the expressions. Because in a club, if you make somebody go, you wouldn't see that in the dark. But it is nice to see that there is some sort of physical movement. And I've honestly, it's terrible. Like, even if I'm allowed to have my mic on, if a comedian makes me laugh, I'm like,
yeah.
I've become trained.
Well, that is what happens. That's another good thing. Not another good thing, but another good thing about the pandemic. But it is, none of us would be doing this if we hadn't had to. But now
No.
we've had to, like with the lockdown comedy guide. The big thing that the guy behind it mentions all the time is like, there are people out there that cannot get out of the house, that cannot, even people with young kids that are desperate for a bit of, something to make you feel in touch with people, which in a way that Netflix can't. You do feel it's better seeing people in real life for sure. It's better going to an actual comedy club, but in the absence of it, this definitely is the second best. So I hope that we do carry on and still do on a bit of online comedy anyway, or online stuff when I'm sure it will. But we've forced ourselves to do it. Like, I don't know how many different bits of bloody software I've taught myself now. But now I'll be carrying on. Like, somebody comes up with something brand new. Oh, honestly, I'm gutted because it's like, I've taught myself Zoom. None of my organizations will use Zoom because they're places like the NHS and these massive private companies like, no, we're not using Zoom. We use Microsoft Teams. I'm like, ugh. Well, we use Skype because they think that's more secure, and I'm like, it's not more secure, but never mind. What can you do? I was going to ask you, going back to the Twittering, and have you got a favorite social media site that you particularly enjoy putting stuff onto?
I don't know. I think I get the most interaction with stuff on Facebook, but I mean, it depends what. I think I scroll through Twitter more often than anything else. I don't, as a consumer, I don't go on Facebook and just scroll through looking for content. Whereas that's what I'm doing on Twitter. I'm looking for stuff that inspires me and makes me laugh and stuff. Only recently, I'd say in the last like 6 months, I've started posting videos
Sorry, my
on.
mum's ringing me.
Oh, your printer. Right.
No, it's my
Sounded like
mum
a
ringing
fax
me.
machine.
No, my mum, Charlie. Do you mind?
That yeah, I think I've only started posting videos on Instagram recently using the Instagram TV because you can post longer videos to that than you can on Twitter, because Twitter is only 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So it just depends what I'm working on that time. So I'll chuck out a quick one-liner or joke on Twitter. If I come up with a funny joke or video like clip, I'll put it either on Facebook or Instagram. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And is there been a particular thing that you've put out that you've enjoyed the most and one that's got the most traction? Which two have you put out that's done that?
It's weird, like I said earlier about you don't know if something's going to be successful or not. When I wrote the thread about the guy on the train trying to trick the guard into thinking he got on at a later stop, which kind of got picked up by the press and everything as well. I
Yeah.
wrote that on the way up to Edinburgh, not the Fringe. I was doing a gig in Edinburgh. I wrote it on the way there, and
Yeah.
I wrote it just in my phone on the way up, and then I spent the next day, so I think the Saturday morning, or maybe the Friday morning, I spent the next day writing it out on Twitter as a thread. And I knew before I posted it, I was like, this is going to get, no, I didn't think it was going to blow up the way it did, but I thought, oh, this is going to get attention. I know, because just seeing what works on Twitter and like how people react to it and enjoy it, I think that's it. So once you know, just your audience, really, it's the same as live stand-up. Once you know what the audience are like and what they're into, then you can make it work for them.
Oh, cool. I really like that one as well. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen it, you should check out Ig's Twitter. It'll be there somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's buried under a lot of stuff now. It's like
Yeah.
It's weird because on Twitter, something will get a lot of retweets, like with me, maybe once every 3 months or something. So I'm about due something. So I should get my thinking hat on and figure out what my next thread's going to be. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, have we got anything else you want to ask Ig? Because we've had it for nearly an hour. Thank you so much for your time, Ig. That's really generous of you.
That's all right. I didn't have anything else to do. It's a pleasure.
You've prep any questions for Saturday, maybe.
Well, if you go on the kitchen sink on Facebook, please feel free to post any links that, especially to the Twitter link as well. If you put anything on there you'd like to.
Sure.
do you actually get chance to sit down and enjoy comedy anymore, especially online comedy? Or is it the thing with comedians is we'll watch the most amazing bloody stand-up routine and we'll do this. That's good.
No, I still love comedy. I still love comedy.
Brilliant.
I didn't get into this to be, a snob about anything or, to overanalyze. I do analyze things, but it doesn't matter if it's a comedian. You don't necessarily, particularly your sense of humor or anything. I still watch everything. So I will. Before lockdown, I used to watch a stand-up special a day on Netflix, Amazon, or any other platform, YouTube. Um, Now I'm probably down because of lockdown, because less stuff coming out, probably about 3 a week. But I still watch. I consume so much comedy because even if, like I said, it's a comedian you don't particularly have the same sense of humor as, you can still learn something from it. So I will watch it and enjoy it. There's something to enjoy about everything as well. Even if it's a comedian you hate, there's going to
Yeah.
be something you enjoy there. So yeah, I
Yeah.
consume so much comedy. I'm obsessed.
Yeah. Me too.
And-
Do you watch it? Do you watch it to learn something about the craft, or do you just go, "I'm just going to watch it and enjoy it," or a bit of both?
I think it's important. I will watch it to escape, just to kind of, because I think that's the way, just to kind of like learn through osmosis, I guess, by just kind of watching it and experiencing it. Um, I won't sit there and with a notepad and pen and try and analyze it or anything. But I do see myself, because I teach some stand-up comedy as well. And once you become aware of the different formats and the different jokes and the different techniques, it's really annoying sometimes watching a stand-up comedy special and seeing everything coming. That's why it's just nice to be surprised sometimes. So even somebody as incredible as, like Dave Chappelle, for instance. Dave Chappelle's got so many certain mannerisms or ticks in the way he delivers stuff that really annoys me, because I know a joke's coming or I know a punchline's coming, or, you know it's like I hate watching myself. I hate watching videos of myself or live stand up, because I know the kind of repetitive things that I do that bug me. So I don't. It's like it's like a tell in poker. I don't want to give away when a joke's coming, but somehow you just do it naturally. And when I'm watching
Yeah.
comedy specials, I just try and enjoy it without over analyzing it. But sometimes you can't help but get inside your own head and go, I know what's going on here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's almost like magic, isn't it? When you don't see it, you don't know it. It is like magic, and there's nothing better than being in a room full of people and they're all complete strangers apart from the person you're with, but everyone's laughing at the same thing, everyone's enjoying it. There's just nothing better, in my opinion. It's just so funny.
yeah,
I'm
it's
going to push
incredible.
you just to explain with the quizzes that you do you have to buy a ticket to do the quiz, or can you tune into the quiz and donate if you like it? How do people get involved with your weekly quizzes?
It's free, so every Saturday you can either tune in on my YouTube page, which I've now recently got you on your YouTube you can get a URL, so people can type in. So I think it's
Yeah.
youtube.com/C/Ignacio Lopez comedy. I think that's it. But if you go to my Facebook page, I just start the live video 8 p.m. every Saturday night, and it's free to watch. And if people do enjoy it and they want to tip me, then they can tip me the cost of one or multiple coffees on a website then. So yeah.
Copies are the way forward.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask is, please, feel free to tweet and share this video stream after the interview, because I noticed even on your, when you promoted it, some of your fans said they weren't going to be able to make it in time. So if you could retweet it, then that means they can watch it. But exactly how many female Welsh comedians do you want to give an open spot to when you start gigging again?
All of them, I guess, except for maybe two.
That's brilliant.
Not you two. No, there's no. I like to. I think it's really important to give people opportunities, especially if they are not the majority stakeholders in stand-up comedy. So I've always tried to push that. My club in Swansea, which should have been, well, it's just the fourth birthday of the comedy club I run in the Perch in Swansea. The fourth birthday was during lockdown, so we couldn't do a gig like we usually would have. So it's a monthly show, and I've gone back through the lineups, and I've had more women headline it than I've had men over 4 years, which I'm quite happy about.
Yay!
Yeah,
Well done, Egg.
thank you.
Don't tell the men;
and
they won't like you for that.
I don't care. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Not book me. They have to book me. I'm hilarious. And then with well, I just want to give, I do want to give opportunities, and people aren't going to get funnier unless they get those chances and those opportunities. So I always put some open spots on and try and it's important how they're presented to the crowd as well. So I've seen a lot of gigs where people get thrown to the wolves, and that's not the way the gig runs. So because I always host it myself, I make sure that there is optimum comedy experience for everyone, the audience and the acts. And I think that's just as important.
Because
Yeah.
I've never been to Swansea. So can I just ask, the comedy club that you do your nights in, is it a dedicated comedy club, or is it a pub or like a bar that does comedy?
So it's a bar, and we close it off for called The Perch, and it opened. A guy called Colin opened it. He came over from Dublin and changed this old Italian restaurant into a kind of cool hipster bar 4 or 5 years ago. And he was looking for a comedy night, so we decided to put it on monthly. Started on a Wednesday. Few months in, I think, or maybe a year, and we switched it to a Thursday. Then we went back to a Wednesday. Just worked better. So we have the whole floor. We change it all, layout, everything. It's got a proper stage, light, sound, but it's a night in a pub, closed off. It's a pro night.
It's really well set up. It's because you're honest, because quite often when you do a night, and I've seen Josh Widdicombe perform in a pub above a busy restaurant in Cardiff, and that's when he was quite well known to about 50 people. He's having to shout above the sound of stuff going on. But the Perch is really well set up. The chairs are in rows, everyone's quite close together. It's really good fun, and I always love doing the Perch when I'm on there. So thanks for having me. But it's always good fun.
Anytime.
Good
I've just seen a video taken by friend of the show and Rafaz Dario in Chicago. They've now opened the comedy club that he's in, and it's got glass or perspex with sort of dividers between the tables. There's sort of like a glass box. I don't know if you saw the Stuart Goldsmith gig that Laura.
I saw a picture of it.
So it looked like an optical illusion. It looked like a hockey net, didn't it? But it was actually it's sort of like it was turned around. So you've got the perspex, like you're the president expecting to be assassinated, and then the booths have got the perspex, and it's very similar to what Dario's got. And I was wondering, for both of you, actually, for Sarah and for Ig, the venues that you run your nights on, have they got the space? Do you have a relationship with the bar owner that would be able to put those measures in? Because it seems to be that is the quickest and easiest way to get live interaction back into your venues.
I think the problem with the Perch, the gig that I run, is without having the full capacity, it wouldn't be worth running. So for 4 years, I've been running that night, if not breaking even, at a loss. So I mean, if you need to space out that audience anymore, then you lose maybe the potential to have some audience in there. And I don't want it to. There's enough. I feel like there's enough just open mic nights around, and for me, it was really important to bring pro acts from outside of Wales to come and perform to Wales who wouldn't otherwise come to Swansea. That's what my aim was. So for me, it's going to have to wait until that club can open up as it was before. Otherwise, not going to happen. But that's not, I'm happy for anyone else to do it and book me. I'm happy to come and do any gig behind the perspex sheet. But for me, that's my baby that night in the Perch. And I really like to keep it that way. The same with Le Pub as well, which I sporadically run nights in Newport or a gig in Cardiff in a place called Bubs. I think if you have any fewer people than we already have in there, because they're quite intimate venues, I think it would lose a bit of its magic, and I don't really want that to happen.
And for me, like I run Rough House, which is a new act, new material night, and I think the safest place is for it to be online until we're safe enough to go out. And if I cannot guarantee that everyone that walks in through the door is going to leave the door as healthy as when they went in, I just don't want that on my conscience. Because especially as we have people that come that clearly have got are supposed to be shielding, or they have certain mental or physical health issues. I don't want to feel. I would feel responsible if they became ill. And for a new act, new material night, where it's the equivalent to someone doing something. I'm not saying that everyone's doing it as a hobby, because people take it very seriously and are trying new material to maybe put in their pro act, or on the whole, giving it a go for the first time. I just think for that, we're not making money. We're not trying to make money apart from the bar is. So I just think I wouldn't want to risk anyone's health, really.
I think
So
one of the reasons this Save Live Comedy campaign is happening is because even when they are slowly lifting lockdown, letting people to go out, comedy is still not going to be able to make the amount of money that it was before lockdown. So even huge venues like the Glee, which is 400 or 500 capacity, if you're taking away maybe 2/3 of that to space everyone out efficiently for any reason, then I don't think they can operate that they were previously, and then people are going to lose jobs. You're not going to need as many bar staff. You're not going to need, many people, maybe as many nights open. I don't know. This is why we're hoping the government steps up and gives some support to the comedy industry as well as the other arts.
Yeah, because it's a skill to be a comedian. A professional comedian is a skill, and it should be a valued skill, in the same way as anything. Because I can't imagine a world where there are no comedy clubs, or so few comedy clubs. It's hard to go to one. It's just pants, really. So, and I just, why not just why not just give it value that it deserves,
The Ellison John show, they were talking to Jen Bristow about this, about how different countries have already given money along the way to the arts, whereas we've now said we're going to give money to the arts, but the arts is a fucking big umbrella. And it actually, I think it was like the Independent or the Guardian or one of those papers, and comedians have got the least amount of sympathy from Joe and Jane Public about the hardships of the pandemic and losing your job. And John Robbins quite rightly went, well, as long as nobody during the pandemic watched any fucking comedy, we're fine.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
Comedians are to be seen and not paid.
I think a lot of people don't realize how live stand-up influences everything else. So, for instance, me and Leroy wrote this radio sitcom. I mean, it's littered with jokes of stuff that we came up with on stage and gigging around the country and around the world and doing these sort of things. The skills of comedy, the beats and the timing and the gags, that all comes from experience we've developed by going out live and testing it out live in front of people. Like, that's just a small radio pilot. Every panel show, film, television show with comedy, it's all filled with these comedians that started out live and still perform live, a lot of them. I'm never going to stop performing live comedy. I still want to be, my dream when I was a kid is still to be a filmmaker. But I could get, it's not going to happen, I don't really want it, but I could get given the directorial debut in Hollywood, and they could give me $1 million or whatever to direct something. I'm still going to be popping into comedy clubs to try out material on the Sunset Strip. I don't care. Like, I'm still going to need that in my life to influence my creativity and where the direction that I'm heading. So it's integral to so many things people don't realize. And I think they don't have sympathy maybe for comedians because we're too busy making them fucking laugh. All right, that's all. We should be banging on doors and saying, hey, we're in trouble. This thing that you're enjoying, that's been created because of live comedy and comedians out there on the circuit, it's not going to exist anymore unless you help convince the government that it's an art form. So,
well, you guys, you guys have done more than 14 gigs apart from me. So what I love the fact that, I mean, I know sometimes talking about comedy can be a bit dry and cumbersome and like, oh God, but I do love talking about comedy, and I like learning from each guest that we have coming onto the kitchen sink. For me, I do genuinely take away something, don't I, from each guest. I'm looking at Sarah's screen like she can fucking tell the difference between my eye movement, like from what we took away from Jenny Collier, what I took away from Jenny B-side, or all these different things. And I'm going to make just a little image that's going to say Radio Times, TV Times, the media. Please put online comedy in your TV listings. And I'm hoping everybody watching will give it a share, because Vix, that was mentioned earlier, did the 100 gigs for lockdown. She's got her own show. Mark Olver's got her own show. Louise Lee's doing her own show. Ig, you've got your quiz. We've got the sync. There's nothing wrong with us all getting together and saying, if you're willing to put Dave and repeats the Top Gear and QI and bloody episodes of I Got News for You that have still got Angus Dayton on them, I think you've got room in your listings for new content. I think maybe if we push forward until we can open up, they'll maybe enough of us put our shoulder in. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, if anyone can do it, it'll be you, Lucy.
Oh, thanks, Liv. I don't know if that's a compliment.
Yeah. Ig, can we just say thank you so much? Can we all give Ig a massive thank you
so much
for being a fantastic guest? Thank you. And I think that's it for Ig. You can hang around if you want to. We're just literally just gonna talk crap for 10 minutes or so.
Sorry, we were going to review comedy that we've seen on Netflix and TV.
What's that?
We're just for the second.
Well, we're introducing a new thing that we're going to be doing from Sunday, because I haven't had a chance to watch the thing that I suggested that we review. From now on, we're going to be reviewing comedy that we've seen. So we're going to say, so we haven't discussed this yet, Lucy, but I can't wait to see it. There's a new special on Netflix. What's his name? I'll have to look it up. It came out. Jim Jeffries, yes. What was the name of his special? Have you seen it? Intolerant. I can't wait to see it. Have you seen it yet?
No. So I think it was either today or yesterday. Netflix. It came on Netflix, and
I think it was yesterday. So I can't wait to get to finish because that's what I'm going to do. Is nice glass of wine and a bit of Jim Jeffries. I loved his last special where he was just having to go about Trump in that one a lot, but I think it was just before Trump was elected. So I'm really looking forward. So I think I'm hoping we can review that one on Sunday. So some of our show is going to be about talking about live comedy we've seen and reviewing any specials and just talking everything comedy. Even though we've called ourselves the Kitchen Sink, so we were like, we talk about anything and everything. But now, as long as it's comedy as well. But think of the brand. Bridget.
I'm going to have to duck out because for some reason my charger is not working on my laptop and it keeps flashing saying your Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into a power outlet, and it is. So I'm going to have to duck out. But thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Right.
Pleasure. See you at the quiz. Thank you so much, Ig. Thanks for coming on.
This will save me sleeping. Jamie Nemeth, if you Jamie Nemeth messaged and said, if you saw a TV channel, say, get in touch if you're a business opening back up, and we'll pay for an advert to be made for you. Along those lines, we should definitely have online comedy slots on TV instead of endless reruns. Completely agree. If you can remember any of those details, Jamie, you couldn't just stick them in a message for me, could you, and send them? You're an absolute darling. Jim Jeffries, I've got to be honest, I loved him. I used to love him.
Oh, good. Used to. Oh, no. What's he done now? Do you know what? Whenever I like something, there's always a reason. Something will turn up and go, yeah, but you know he's an absolute CUNT. Come on, then. What's he done now?
When you're a truck
driver... Who's been molested?
No one yet.
Allegedly.
When you're a truck driver, when you pull over, you've had a long day, genuinely, watching a bit of comedy is... And we'll all sort of pile into each other's cabs and we'll play like YouTube clips of comedy and stuff like that. And Jim Jeffrey is he's loved by a lot of truck drivers. And this one guy brought him up and he did this huge rant about how shit his ex was in bed or how she wouldn't get wet enough because she was a bitch. And I'm sorry.
Who said this? Jim Jeffries?
Yeah. And my memory.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't a fucking tapped combo, was it? It was just a case of boys, if you don't realize this, if the girl's not getting wet, it's because you've not done enough pre-work. And it was a really dickish, stupid crap coming out of your mouth routine, and it's tarnished it for me slightly.
Okay, but how old is this material? Because
I think that this material was after his gun control.
Okay.
And I love his gun control routine. absolutely adore his gun control.
I'm not going to write him off just yet,
No.
then, because everyone has a shit bit of material,
Yeah.
and that is the worst thing about that material is it's hack. The amount of white bloody blokes, or blokes, full stop, that I've seen on stage go, "My wife," or "My
Yeah.
girlfriend is so rubbish." I'm like, ugh, choose another subject to talk about, will you please? Because especially when, they'll moan about their wife or they moan about their girlfriend. I'm like, well, why haven't you dumped her then? If she's that fucking shit, mate. And quite often they're not shit. They're fine. They're absolutely happy, but they think that's what makes the clubs laugh and the people in the clubs. So I haven't written him off just yet. So as long as he hasn't molested anyone, as long as it's all consensual, crap
I
sex.
just want to say thank you very much, Jamie. I've just received your message. Oh, ain't he lovely?
Oh, well done, Jamie. That was quick off the mark. Thank you so much.
Sometimes men do need to be quick. I do like Jim Jeffries. I like the fact that he came over here and he started off as a small comic doing shows in rooms above pubs. And a lot of people have met him and have got a lot of nice things to say about him. And then I genuinely, when somebody said, "Oh, do you want to listen to this Jim Jeffries?" I was like, "Yes." And I listened to it and I was like, I'm not getting that time back.
Yeah. I would put that also on the onus of the person who went, "Listen to this. This is amazing."
Oh yeah, truck drivers have got no way of how to gauge the fucking room. When you get your mates that send you gifts or small videos or like he won't be watching this, but I've got one mate, and it was a woman driving a van. She's very busty and sort of one of those Bavarian sort of wench tops, and she went over a pop toll and her tits came out, and I thought, thank you very much for sending me this video because you think of me as your friend in your friendship group, but read the fucking room, mate. And then I got another guy a woman was swimming, she took her clothes off and then the dog ran off with the clothes and then she was sending her. So what I do is I send them videos of David Gandy either topless or pictures of David Gandy fully naked. And they're like, "Why are you sending me these?" And I went, "Oh, right, because you sent me that. I thought we had that relationship."
Yeah, I thought you liked to see naked people.
If you want to send me naked women, I thought you'd want to see naked men.
Who's that?
Works every time.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. I will bear that in mind if I ever get anything like that, which I don't think I will, to be honest. Because I don't work with men. I don't work with anyone. I just work with me. So if I send myself pictures of naked women, I'm like, Sarah,
have a woman get her tits out.
have a word. Yeah.
Can I interject? I would like to.
Yeah. Yes.
He's gone now. I can talk. Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I have
to put my
1 second. The 11 that Jamie's replied again. Show. Brilliant, yes, but it's only holding a mirror up the highlights. How weird, wrong that is. Exactly. Sarah decided years ago, a friend wearing a Saudi Arabia tough t-shirt. Earned small fortune, so obviously he's abound. Yeah, I'm not letting Sarah go to Saudi Arabia. So
you just know I would do something wrong. I'd come back having done something.
I can't afford to bail her out. She'll get given the opportunity to go on stage at an open mic, and she'll forget that it was an open mic, but only for men. She'll start saying that's not its name, and it'll be.
I'll probably come back going, I've accidentally married a prince. I think I'm a trillionaire. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Right. Online, so not online, but TV comedy. If we're doing this properly, genuinely, I like.
What?
Guys, she's a teacher. I'm a teacher. But in this situation, I'm working with children.
Sorry. Right. I'm listening.
Right. Okay. Right. They even let women drive out there. Yes, Ray. And I love Manu has it all on Twitter. Not always funny, but hits the mark. Oh, it hits the mark. Yes. So on the BBC iPlayer, you've got two comedies that I practically chopped them up and inhaled them. So the first one is The Other One, and that's written by Holly Walsh.
Oh, she's funny. Have you seen Motherland? That's on
No,
Netflix at the moment. Fucking funny.
I want to
Ugh.
make sure I get the name right. The
Oh, I think I have seen adverts for that. Is that on BBC One or
yeah,
BBC
so
iPlayer
it's on
somewhere?
the iPlayer.
Awesome.
So not only right, Holly's never in it, but it's about a guy has a heart attack, leaves wife and daughter to deal with the estate. Turns out he had a mistress and another daughter.
Right.
And it's very middle class versus working class, hilarity ensues. But of the middle class, you've got Rebecca Front as the mother.
You had me at Holly Walsh, but that is also icing on cake.
I mean, for Christ's sake, she runs the Oxfordshire Police. There's nothing that someone can't do.
Yeah.
And then the working class mistress is Siobhan Finneran. So you might do you see her in Happy Valley with Rachel with Lancaster. She's I have to do this now. Right. Right, her.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Right. That one
She's
there.
in Benidorm.
Oh, yes. Siobhan Finnegan, although it says Finneran on her name. Right, my mum's telling me it's pronounced Finnegan, but then again, here's an Irish spelling.
Okay.
Ella White and Laura Socha, but Stephen Tompkinson's in it. Caroline Quentin is in it, and she plays the sister, and she's constantly got lipstick all over her teeth, and it's absolutely hilarious. And then the other thing that my mother and I absolutely, we started boshing through it, then realized there was only 6, and deliberately took a gap because we didn't want to run out. Staged. I've mentioned it before. I'll mention it again.
Okay.
I'm
writing it down again.
It's the amazing Michael Sheen and David Tennant, and they play themselves to Spinal Tap 11. And David is constantly a really weaselly little 14-year-old girl in an Alice band and a hoodie, like talking like that. And then Michael Sheen, he's a headline act.
Yeah, I love Michael Sheen so much. Did I tell you my Michael Sheen story? I have 2. So tell me Michael Sheen story.
Okay, go on, carry on.
Michael Sheen story number 1. Well, number 3. I've got 3 of them. Okay, Michael Sheen story. I'll only tell you the 2. So number 1.
One of them which started would be really good.
So Michael Sheen story number 1 at Machantlas.
Yeah,
2 years ago, he was there. And he was in the bar because there's a bar that like lots of people go to because they always have this massive showcase on a Friday and Saturday night. So anyone who's anyone in comedy hangs out there because they do these massive which anyone that's doing a show in Mach goes up to do like 5 minutes. They're always sold out within minutes. They're mad. And I can never get a ticket, but if you hang around at the bar long enough, you can normally sneak in. So I hope no one from Mach is watching this. But especially as like these shows go on for like 4 hours, so towards the end it's still like lots of people, but a few people might have left, so you can kind of sneak in anyway and sit near the back. It's so much fun. Anyway, on one of these nights, Michael Sheen was in the bar and he was just being hidden by lots of comedy royalty because he's Michael Sheen, and even with that he still got bothered with people going up to him going, "Oh my god, you're Michael Sheen!
Oh my god, you're Michael Sheen!"
Which I would have, but I'm too. I cannot go up to famous people anymore. No. Not after Bonnie Tyler. I can't. So that's a story for another day. And Andy Peters. And the other Michael Sheen story was Forest Fach shopping centre, which is literally down the road from me, like 5 minutes from where I live. Yeah. I was just wandering around there one afternoon before lockdown, about 2 weeks before lockdown, and I see this figure walking towards me. In the moment, and he had a big bushy beard, a big bushy hair and everything, I was like, it's Michael Sheen. I did not know where to look. One eye went over there, the other eye went over there. I think I just didn't know. I was like, oh, do I say hello? Do I jump through a window? In the end, I think I just went cross-eyed and walked past like that. And I looked round and I could see him kind of laughing with his partner. So I think he knew that he was clocked. And then that poor person clocked him, didn't know what to do. Was me. So I love Michael Sheen so much.
But I mean,
two Michael Sheen stories.
Well,
basically I saw him in the distance.
Yeah, because I used to work festivals and events. There were, famous people walking around left, right, and centre, and my job was to never look bothered, to the point where I didn't get bothered. The only thing I got bothered about is you start going a bit sort of FBI style, when you can see somebody else's face go, and you've just got to kind of run like an assassination to intervene, to stop somebody go, oh my God, I love you, because they'll always insult. Oh my God, I used to really like you. Or, oh my God, my mum has a crush. There's always those, oh my God, you're shorter than I expected. People can't help the words come out of their mouth. So I very rarely get bothered unless there's somebody that I genuinely can like. Like I told you, I went to London. I got all the things in the whole of London I can see. And I wanted to see an empty room that Chris Moyles does a show in, because he's my biggest like you wouldn't expect it. But
Chris Moyles.
When you see Michael Sheen walking along, your face would just be like this. Our podcast listeners, we were looking idiots.
We look like the Gestapo at the end of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Like, act normal.
What's normal? I've forgotten. What's big? Is this normal now?
And also, I couldn't watch more than one episode, but I watched last night because we were watching Ms. America.
Me too.
Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. So good.
We only watched 2 episodes ago because it's not a binger. It's
rich.
You need process time in between each episode, but it automatically, because if you're a fan of feminist history, why wouldn't you want to watch CBBC's Bunch of Prankers? Children do Dom Jolly-esque pranks. I don't know who put the autoplay connection between watching Gloria Swainson go for power and then you've got a little girl who pretends to fart. But they're very short.
That's progression.
That's progression.
Now, Lucy, 600 years ago, you wouldn't have had a female child on TV farting. Now we can. Thank you, feminism.
There we go. Oh, and the child was BAME. So, I mean...
Excellent.
But it was a good comedy program. I do, because do you remember
which program are we on about now? Have I missed one? Because the last thing I heard was Mrs. America, child farting. What was the name of the program? The comedy program?
Bunch of Prankers.
That's what it's called. Bunch of Prankers.
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Prankers, because I thought, hang on, you're getting kids to work under the heading of prankers, and they need to understand that is clearly wankers.
A pun. Well, the parents need to be aware, really.
Oh, it's called Little Prankers. There we go.
That's even worse. I wouldn't straight away. I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to watch children do anything. I don't hate children,
but they used to do.
They are boring.
There's a kid who's out now. He used to be one of those little drama kids. He was in everything on CBBC and CITV, and now he's 18, 19, and he's in the movies. But there used to be a comedy show where they would do quite adult.
Oh, I know.
You know the one
Will Poulter?
That's him.
He's great. He's good at
But we've seen him grow up, and also Nick. I think he used to be in Skins.
I know the one. Yeah, a few of them in Skins.
And he was
Race and Rambo.
He started off very, very young, didn't he? And just like Billy Elliot, they can get older, but mentally, I will think of them as 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever seen this. I think it's a Jumper with Billy Elliot in it.
No, but I know the film you mean. Yeah.
Lopez?
What's his actual name? It's not Billy Elliot, is it? It's Jamie something. Jamie
Bell.
Jamie Bell.
So I think it's called Lopez. And Jamie Bell.
Lopez.
And he
Yes.
took his clothes off and he was very attractive. And I'm like this. My
eyes. That's why I had to stop watching Harry Potter. I couldn't watch the last 2 Harry Potters because Harry suddenly became a bit fit. And I was like, I can't think of this. He's only 19.
Scraping my eyes out.
It's horrific. How can men look at 18-year-old girls and go 4 when you're like, no, they're 18. You're an adult, you loser.
Hashtag Woody Harrelson. Hashtag who's your daddy?
Woody Harrelson's old though, so it's all right.
Not Harrelson. Alan.
Woody Allen, not Harrelson.
Woody Allen is the one that married his daughter.
Oh.
Because Mia Farrow adopted that young girl.
Let's not go into that one.
And then you can see pictures of him holding her like that, like a little daddy. No. And then they're walking along, and they.
This is again. I am not consenting to this conversation. Nil consent.
Nil consent. Oh, this will make you laugh. You know, have you seen these ads now on Facebook where you can play video games where you play the decision? So, like, it'll be, oh, you're a cowboy. Do you A, rob the train, or B,
get a life
somewhere else? And I don't know why they come up on mine, because I've never ever played a game on Facebook ever.
Have you ever been a cowboy though?
That'll be it.
That'll be it.
I do a lot of searching on Google for saddles.
You are in the countryside. You're prime pickings.
Racial profiling.
Yeah. And when all the electricity goes down is the next bit, because 2020 isn't over. We've got 6 more months of 2020, haven't we? And, you know, I don't think we've had enough death and destruction and terrible stuff happening. So we need the power outage to go. And when it does, we're going to need cow people. And they can't be cowboys, because that's sexist. We need a cow person.
As RuPaul would say, what did you just call me?
You're a cow person. If you want to be, your choice.
Paul Dennis and I were messaging, and he said something, and I wrote back, what did you just call me? Because in my head, everybody knows RuPaul says that. And he went, oh, no, I meant it like such and such. And I was like, no, sorry, I'm actually watching Drag Race right now.
Paul could see the whole of his comedy career going out the window.
Hang on, let me finish that thing. So the cowboy choices, right? So it showed a cowboy, right? And it said, like, she had all her clothes on a pile with a bag of money, and she was having a bath in a pool of water. And it was, do you A, get in the water with her, or B, steal her money? And I wrote, is there C, ask for consent to bathe with her?
Yes. C, get permission first.
Which, I got to be honest, is not a comedy joke. I got a lot of thumbs up for that one. Right, so hang on, it's this wall. We're going to high five. Can you work out which one it is?
Yeah.
Right, 1, 2, 3. Bow!
Yay! Ow! Ow! Ooh! Gosh, you do high fives, Lucy.
You beat me to it, Ray. I was just bringing the story up, actually. Sadly, Inner Mongolia, in China.
Back again.
Plague is back. Plague is back. Plague is back.
Plague is. It's not a bloody program I've got to watch now.
Yeah, I know, but it's not Sabrina as we know. It's not Clarissa playing Sabrina.
I know. But
Twitter.
You know I can't do horror. Is Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Jamie? Is it too gory? Is it a little bit too horror? I can't.
Jamie, I'll take this one for you. The fuck are you on about? She's a witch with a cat.
No, it's not like you say, it's not the 90s version. I saw little snippets and I'm like, I don't think that's for me. They're Jamie. Horrible. There's horror in it.
Jamie? Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
I can watch the original. That's all right. I thought you meant in the new one.
Could we have done it more in sync?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
I think I gotta be honest. I think
I
Poodle
want
Hat.
Kanye for a change.
Poodle Hat. Are you Paul?
I don't need to know,
Oh, no.
but
You know
it's more fun if we don't know. You can
Yeah,
be
yeah,
secretive if you like. But yeah, I'd quite like Kanye, you know, Ian Bowden. Who's Ian Bowden? That name
The
sounds familiar.
cricketer. Ian Bowden. Is he a cricketer? Let's Google. How is
Yeah.
it? Siri,
You
who is
Google.
Ian Bowden?
Or Bowden.
Here's some information.
Oh no, he's an actor.
Oh.
Who is
Oh,
Ian
no, I'm
Bowden?
thinking of Ian Bowles.
I found this on the web.
No, it doesn't do spellings. Let's Google him. Ian Bowden. If it is actually somebody called Ian Bowden. Oh, I'm thinking of Ian Botham.
That's the one I was thinking of.
We've met a couple of times at Toast. Oh, right.
Oh, Ian. No, I do know you. Hi, Ian. How are you doing?
And yes, Ian, I was thinking of Ian being about. Say hi to Beefy. There's an old question of sports reference back to entertainment from the 80s.
I'm far too young to remember any of that.
Kanye can't happen. Why is that, Ray? He's missed too many states to register in time to make the cut. Besides, First Lady Kim Kardashian.
And she is training to be a solicitor. Do you get solicitors in America? Are they all lawyers? Oh, I hit myself in the face with my necklace then.
I'm way down Google. There's an Ian Bowden who programmed Grand Theft Auto, so I've got no chance. I think you mean no. I got no change.
I get
up again.
I don't even listen to rap. Why am I singing rap all evening? I don't know.
I don't even listen to rap.
Oh, guys, before we finish, which I'm insisting we do in the next 10 minutes, what do you think of this later time? Is this better for you? Is 6 p.m. doing it for you, babes?
Well, I can tell you Ray's going to say yes. Because
he's woken up.
And you know what? Maybe you'd get up earlier if you didn't go to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning after watching YouTube for 9 hours.
Can I just say, Lucy F. Orchard, you lady, fine one to talk.
Yeah, I go to bed about 3:30, 4, but
6 a.m. one day last week.
3:30, 4, I don't go, I think I'll just have a quick 8-hour session on YouTube.
No one thinks they can have a quick 8-hour session. Everyone goes, I'm just going to watch this one. And then 8 hours later, it's like, what's happened? My eyes don't seem to be working anymore. So, before we get totally off track then, so Sunday, can we review Jim Jeffries then?
Yeah.
Please. Right, so everybody, we're going to review Jim Jeffries, which is on Facebook, which is on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, watch the new Jim Jeffries special, and we're all going to have a chat about that on Sunday, if that's all right. If anyone has any suggestions for any future ones, that'd be cool. And if anyone has any suggestions for stuff we should all watch, that would be cool too.
I'd love to put my name in the hat for the one after Jim Jeffries. Perfect time for me. Snuck in a couple of Golden Girls episodes, then tuned in. Oh, I do declare exactly what was Blanche Devereaux getting up to, you sauce pot. I love Golden Girls. I would want to be B.
Would you?
Yeah.
Why?
B.
Because she's in charge and bossy, is that?
She's not bossy. She's organized. She's stable.
She knows what's going on.
With B. Arthur, I don't know if you ever watched, I want to say it was Rona. But she used to be in a sitcom before Golden
Rhoda.
Rhoda. And it was really progressive for its time, for a woman to have a show.
Penny Marshall.
And wasn't there a lesbian character in there that was just like...
I was probably 6 when I last watched it. But I do know Penny Marshall was one of the people that created it. And then she went on to write like the film Big, which is problematic these days, but also Splash. She's huge, and she died a couple of years ago, but she's phenomenal. I haven't watched it for years, but it's definitely something I would love to watch again. I don't know how you'd get
We
hold
could
of
do an
it.
old review and a new review.
Yes.
Do you know what? Poodle
Love
Hat,
it.
Ian, you
Rhoda.
interacting about the Golden Girls has just created us a new versus old review. We review something old, something new, and we work out which one was better. Fight.
Yes. And Borrowed and Blue. Are we? No? I borrowed this DVD.
Oh, I don't
And
know who's watching, but my Netflix is borrowed. Does that count?
oh.
I keep getting emails about Netflix telling them I've got to update my account information. Well,
if you're gonna make me pay.
But I would like for the new thing, maybe next time. Tiffany Haddish has got a new special on there, and
Yes.
I love. Have you seen Black Mitzvah?
No, but I want to.
Because she got hired for being not a social influencer, like a social entertainer or a oh, look at that. And so you should say yes. And she was a hype woman. You just hire her to go to your party and just get people dancing, get people doing da 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 da. And she did go into care as a
She had a
child.
tough upbringing. Really tough.
And there was a program where comedians and these kids from care homes got to go to do comedy courses. So her friends in the comedy circuit are the guys that created the fucking comedy circuit.
Martin Short, was that? Was encouraging her, was like her. He kept trying to give her money and she kept going no. So he'd like put it in her bag in the green room. She'd be like, oh God, and find another way to give it back because she was like, I don't want you.
My next guest needs no introducing, which is the David Letterman interview program on Netflix. He does an amazing interview with Tiffany Haddish. And because she's ex-care, she's got a charity project where she collects rucksacks and suitcases to give to children in care. And because I got so inspired by it, just before this fucking lockdown, I got in touch with the council to arrange people handing in suitcases to give to local care homes in Tiverton. Dun, dun, dun. Because when the children are moved from care home to care home, they're just given black bags.
Oh, God love them.
And how worthless must you feel if you don't even have like something with a zip on it, so you can put your little books and your notes and your teddy bears and things you don't want people to take and put it under your bed, or a rucksack that you can hold because you know that you've got possessions of your own. And it like, yeah.
Oh, babes. Yeah.
So I tried starting a charity collecting suitcases and rucksacks for children in care over here, and I got a couple of local councillors on board, and just when the lockdown came down. Got a dash.
See you in the end. Which audience? Which gig? Which one?
And also, Ray, you make a good point. I am on Forza Crowd with Paul Dennis at 9 p.m, 10 p.m, The Americans, Comedy and COVID, 11 p.m, Comedy and Crumpets. What the hell's Comedy and Crumpets? Why don't I know about that? Is it brilliant?
Sounds lush. Who doesn't love a crumpet?
And also, who wouldn't want a BB in the Golden Girls?
I'm not saying I wouldn't want a BB. I just thought you and B, perfect pairing, my love.
I think you should be Rose.
Oh, thanks.
Because you're very true in the heart. Betty White. Who wouldn't want to be Betty White?
I thought because she's vacant tonight and doesn't know what she's doing half the time.
Look, just because you made that, you drew that, you drew that comparison. I said that she was true of heart. All right.
I will be Rose. You can be. I think I know how we're advertising Sunday show. So we're going to Sunday. Let's wrap up, shall we? Yeah. So we're going to watch the new Jim Jeffries special on Netflix. We're going to figure out Rhoda and watch one of them.
They're all on YouTube.
Are they? Awesome. They're on YouTube. Awesome. So we're going to watch them and have a chat about them on Sunday, along with our fantastic guest, Ness Stevens, who is American and she's phenomenal. But you know more about her than I do, Lucy.
Yeah, so she actually lives in Asia, so the time difference is going to be killer for her, but she's so generous to come on. She does a comedy mastermind workshop, and she'll do it at different time zones. So sometimes she'll get like Asian, Australian, people, European, like she'll do different time zones to meet different people. Where you go in, you take your broken jokes and you work them out as a workshop, which I don't understand why more people aren't doing. I've done a couple of online workshops, and you know, a workshop is not like a comedy gig. A Zoom environment for a workshop is perfect. No traveling.
Yeah.
And you know, suddenly, you know, if your mum does shout to you, you know, you can just mute it, or if you need to, you know, it's not as difficult as going somewhere and going to a centre or a library or whatever.
Or having to spend money on coffees because you've chosen to go to a coffee shop or pub or whatever.
So she does these amazing online workshops, but she also does these amazing conversations. So like she had, I think it's Chip Jones, and she had Gary Hughes and another comedian, and it was talking about retraining people into realizing that racism does not belong in comedy. But also make them realize that you can still make jokes about different people. It's not a case of you can only make a joke about a cat, a dog, and a tree. You know, there's a different way of approaching it. Just because, you know, you're from Wales and you know, from Swansea, and you say that joke about Swansea would be the person on the bus starts talking to you.
Yeah.
Right? That is not you being racist about Swansea. But if you wanted to sort of just say something about maybe about literacy skills or unemployment or you have to be intelligent on your way to approach your joke, whether or not you're going to make a cheap jibe or an endearing jibe. And you can be clever enough to do, you can make something funny without belittling the joke. You know, in the way that, you know, I'm sure there are black places like in America that in my head you drive into, and before you know it, you're at a barbecue and you're being fed and everyone's talking at you. I wouldn't instantly think, oh God, if it's a black environment, you're going to get shot.
No.
But there's got to be ways of approaching the fact that you can talk about the fact that different types of people exist without just being
going for the stereotype, basically.
For the stereotype.
Yeah.
And there's got to be intelligence around it. I mean,
but can I stop you there, Lucy? Sorry, because I'm like, you're going to go off on a tangent again.
I found it such a fascinating
and another thing.
So yeah,
you've got a show to do.
Yeah, she does amazing workshops and discussions, and she's paid to do comedy online as well.
Brilliant. She's going to be, you might not have heard of her, but she's going to be an amazing guest. I'm really looking forward to it. That's going to be at 3:30 on Sunday. Yeah. Hopefully you can come back and join in the chat and everything. But we are streaming on YouTube now if you can't, but we would love you to come back. And if you can tell people, if you can follow us, if you've not watched us before and you like what you see, if you can follow us on Twitch, that would be amazing. We're trying to get up to 50 followers and we've got 42 the last time I looked. So we'd really love to get that over the 50 hump. So if you can follow us, if you have already, if you can tell a few people about us and get them to follow us, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. So that's our show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Lucy. Crazy Orchard.
Thank you, Sarah. Mwah.
Am I looking the wrong way?
Always looking the wrong way.
Thank you, Lucy. And thanks to Ignacio Lopez for joining us.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday. Bye.